Hello, this is video 2 of the January 2020 paper 2, the R paper walking talking mock. Okay, so this is video 2 where we're going to be looking at question 2 and sections A, B, C, D, E and F. Remember, we're tackling all the shorter questions before we move on to the longer 6, 9 and 12 mark questions. Okay, so without further ado, let's go to the exam paper. And we are starting at 2A, so that's this question here. So in 2018, the European Union trade bloc started to reduce agricultural subsidies to farmers within the European Union. Now remember that the trade bloc is a group of countries that are geographically located close to one another, that have got together to agree free trade. So they have agreed to remove protectionism, things like tariffs and quotas, and in this particular case to reduce agricultural subsidies. And remember, subsidies is money that is given from the government to firms to help firms continue to survive and make a profit. And one of the reasons why governments choose to do this is because they want the firms to continue to operate, because these firms will then continue to employ people, so it keeps the employment rates high. This question: which one of the following diagrams shows the markets for agricultural products following the removal of the subsidy? Well, the first thing we need to note is that two of these show a shift in demand. So A shows a shift in demand, and so does B. Now we know we are talking about a removal of a subsidy, and a removal of a subsidy is a supply side issue. Okay, so therefore we know that the answer cannot be A or B because they both show a shift in demand. Okay, so subsidies, they are there to help firms. So if a firm receives a subsidy, they are more willing and more able to supply products to the market. So there would be a shift to the right. That would be D. But in this particular case, the subsidy has been removed. This means that firms will be less willing and less able to supply products to the market. Therefore, there will be a decrease in supply, a decrease from S to S1. Therefore, the answer is C. Next question. Which one of the following is likely to result from an increase in free trade? Now, free trade is all about firms paying farmers the correct money. The farmers, for growing things like cocoa beans, are not exploited. They receive a fair salary for doing so. They receive a fair trade. Now, what this does is it means that these farmers can continue to operate. And if they can continue to operate, it means that they're going to continue to supply their products because they are receiving money in free trade. And this means that there will be an increased choice for consumers. So the answer would be B. Okay, the next question, C. State one macroeconomic objective. Okay, now there are 7 that you could use here, but all you have to do is simply state one. So the possibilities are an increase in GDP, to stabilize inflation, to reduce unemployment would be another one. Okay, to reduce the current account deficit. Alternatively, you could just say to improve the current account balance, because we don't know if the current account currently has a deficit or a surplus. So you can simply say to improve the current account balance. Remember that the current account is one of the 3 accounts on the balance of payments. The current account is the only one that you need to be aware of with regards to the IGSE. And basically, the current account balance is the difference between imports and exports. The current account records imports and exports. And if we've got a current account surplus, it means that the country exports more, that the exports are greater than the imports. But if the imports are greater than the exports, it means there would be a current account deficit. Okay. Other possible ones you could have then is to reduce pollution or to look after the environment, and another is to reduce inequality of income and wealth. And another one you could potentially have actually is to achieve a budget or a fiscal surplus. And this simply means in order to achieve a fiscal surplus, you need you need taxation to be greater than government spending. If it's the other way around, if tax is less than government spending, then this would result in a fiscal or a budget deficit. Okay. The next question. What is meant by the term revaluation? Well, let's do some revision on this, because it's really important that we understand the difference between appreciation and depreciation and revaluation and devaluation. Okay. Now, appreciation means that the value of the currency has become stronger. This is when supply and demand for the currency just get on with it without any intervention from the government. Okay. So if there is no intervention from the government and the value of the currency becomes stronger against another currency, then that means that that currency appreciates. That results in appreciation. The same, if the government does not intervene and market forces are just left to get on with it, suppliers of currency and buyers of currency just trade currency without the intervention of the government, and if this results in the value of the currency becoming weaker, then this is called depreciation. However, revaluation and devaluation are terms we use when the government or the central bank intervenes to either increase the strength of the currency or to decrease the strength of the currency. So revaluation is when the central bank or the government intervenes into the exchange market, into the foreign exchange market, to increase the strength of their currency. And they do this by using their surplus of other currencies to buy their own currency. So if they're buying their own currency, it means that the demand for their own currency increases, and therefore the value of their currency goes up. And because the government have intervened to do this, this is known as revaluation. Devaluation, this is when the government wants to decrease the value of their currency. So what they would do is they would increase the supply of their currency by using their currency to buy other countries' currency. Okay, and that means there is an increase in supply of their own currency, and then that reduces the value of their currency. Okay, let's just have a look at the mark scheme for this one. So there we go. Look, there's the mark scheme. It says when the price of a currency in a fixed exchange rate system is officially increased against other currencies. So that when it says officially increased, it means there's been intervention by the government, or simply you can just say when a government fixes or when a government intervenes in order to set a higher exchange rate. Or you can say when the government intervenes into the foreign exchange market, and as a result, their currency becomes stronger. Okay, moving on to the next question. Let's go back to the